Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer 40k Imperium magazine. As per usual with all these videos though, if you like them, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, drop a comment down below. Love hearing back from you guys and it goes a massive way to help the channel too. Now, this week we're literally that slap bang halfway point of the magazine, issue number 40, and we get our third and final Cataphrone Destroyer from the Adeptus Mechanicus range, and this is the last Adeptus Mechanicus unit that we get from the magazine before we move into new territory. So really good stuff. A pretty cool model. We've had two before, so we had one last week. If you wanted to, of course, you can also make it into the Breacher, so sometimes it's worth picking up second copies of the magazine just to add extra units. But really good stuff, and yeah, some new build options and different ways of painting it, and kind of different weapon types you could have with it if you wanted to. But really good stuff. So happy times. Into the issue itself, we are greeted by the Adeptus Mechanicus. Unsanctioned divergence. Tech priests who spend their lives in the field are known to develop ever more extreme and divergent methods with which to combat the enemies of the Red Planet. Many modify their Skitarii and war machines in mind and body to better serve their elaborate goals. So, with divergent tech priests, the tech priests who lead and fight amongst the cohorts of Mars face a galaxy filled with innumerable terrors. Their task is to seek out and recover technology, as well as protecting the forges and factorums that keep the Imperium functioning. In their single-minded pursuit of such goals, Martian commanders often stray from the teachings of the Red Planet and the Imperium at large. So, with a lot of the Adeptus Mechanicus, they do like to kind of manipulate and change up a few extra things as and when they want to, enhancing other units in their ranks to help and modify to whatever the needs are that they currently have for the task at hand, and sometimes that may or may not be at odds with what the Imperium wants as well though, but it's all part of a greater cause. So with this you also have 4 d6 roll dot charts to use, so you can create the unsanctioned divergence for each Adeptus Mechanicus item that we have had from the magazine. So for instance, if you were doing your Tech Priest Dominus, you could have, for instance, obsessively studies the effects of the styling. For your Skitarii Rangers, you could always have, for instance, Skitarii enhanced with Xenos technology. The Tech Priest Engineer could always have seeks to destroy Necron constructions. And then your Cataphrone Destroyers could always have Destroyers' engines scream in agony as they advance, as part of their divergences, and different ways of kind of they operate, which adds a little bit extra to your game, depending on how you roll, and if you want to use it, of course. You don't have to use it, it's entirely up to you, but it does add something ever so slightly different to the kind of narrative that you are building for your army. Then we get information about the Imperium itself. This is to do with the fall of Cadia, the Gathering Storm. So for thousands of years, Cadia stood watch over the Eye of Terror, repelling each and every assault launched against its fortresses. Yet, when Abaddon the Despoiler's 13th Black Crusade emerged from the warp in all its dark and twisted glory, the planet's doom was finally sealed. So, Cadia you may have heard of because a lot of the Imperium kind of hangs around on Cadia, and it's one of kind of the key kind of fronts in the 41st millennium and battles that they have, and yeah, a lot of the good old Cadia is mentioned on a lot of the iconography for the armies of the Imperium in a lot of places. So yeah, really good stuff, and the Adeptus Militarium especially as well. So many times the forces of Chaos had surged forth from the Eye of Terror, and always Cadia had resisted their attacks. However, Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade dwarfed all that has come before. The skies were blotted out by the sheer size of the heretic fleet, and even the might of Cadia could not repel them. So, with, of course, obviously Cadia started suffering huge casualties and damage as a result of Abaddon's massive assault. There were, of course, a lot of major heroes. So there was Belisarius Cawl, the Archmagus Dominus of Mars, with the assistance of the mysterious Eldari Harlequin known as Silandri Veilwalker, who had kind of excavated, researched Blackstone pylons and much more that are embedded on the Cadian system itself, and they tried to stand in the way of Abaddon, and unfortunately over time Cadia fell to the forces of chaos, and the triumvirate, when I say that correctly, normally helps, of the Imperium came into being with Belisarius Cawl, Celestine, the living saint from the Adeptus Mechanicus range, and Inquisitor Greyfax, an awesome mini as well, that one is, all joining forces to try and stop in the way and kind of block out and protect the Imperium from the forces of chaos entering from the warp. Really good information. If you want your history of the 41st millennium, this is definitely a very interesting part to it, so really good stuff there. Then we get information about one of the other Space Marine chapters. These are the Salamanders, so these kind of jade, kind of greeny armoured warriors, and they are pretty damn cool. So the Salamanders are the first founding chapter and have served the Imperium since before the Great Crusade. They are a brotherhood of warrior craftsmen who turned their mastery of fire upon mankind's foes. The Salamanders' refusal to yield in the face of the enemy is legendary. So, the Salamanders, obviously living up to the Salamander name, they use fire in their wake and go forth, kind of burning and using a lot of pretty damn cool weaponry as well at the same time, so combi flamers, melter rifles and much more, and really good stuff. Another very interesting Space Marine chapter as well, very cool, and I've got a lot of unique lore behind them as well. Then we get information of the war zone Armageddon. So the planet of Armageddon has been the site of great battles, notable victories and crushing defeats. However, it faces its greatest peril yet. So, moving into a new war zone in a different area, the world of Armageddon has been the linchpin of Imperial strength for a millennia. From its sprawling manufactorums and forged temples surge tides of armoured vehicles and munitions to sustain thousands of armies in the field. Regiments of the Armageddon, Steel Legion, excel in armoured warfare and extreme environmental conditions. So, Armageddon, another unique war zone, obviously. So, we have a bit more information about them. So, we also have some information about the orcs that kind of like to try and attack and have a bit of a good go at Armageddon as well. And, of course, there is a legacy of blood that follows in its wake, which is the good old the First War for Armageddon, which was brutally suppressed by the Inquisition, saw the demon Primarch Angron, former leader of World Eaters, Traitor Legion, lead a vast army of heretic Strates, mad cultists and cornate demons against Armageddon, and only through the sacrifice of near 100 of the demon-hunting Grey Knights was Angron banished and the war ended. So, pretty cool information there. We also get information about one of the heroes for the Adeptus Mechanicus, which is Belisarius Cawl, the Archmagus prime conduit of the Omnissiah. So, Archmagus Belisarius Cawl was old even at the birth of the Imperium, over 10,000 years ago. He is a tech savant, a genius at the forefront of whatever field to which he turns his mind, and has fabricated many wondrous technologies for the betterment of the Imperium. So, Belisarius Cawl looks very much like the good old Tech Priest Dominus, but a little bit bigger, and has a very unique look to him as well. A pretty cool model. Unfortunately, we didn't get him with a magazine, but it would have been really cool to see. But one you can pick up from Games Workshop and Warhammer stores if you wish to, or any third parties. But really good stuff. Pretty damn cool. Then we get how to build a Cataphrone Destroyer. We already know this stuff, it's fairly simple, just depends on which weapon type you want to use, and you can do a little extras with it, so you can have that plate going over the exhaust on the back of this one instead, if you wish to, and make it look a little bit differently. The body will look very similar, but you can choose a different weapon type that you haven't already used if you wish to make it stand out even better. So you have different weapon types, and it makes it more unique and makes it look a lot better if you do that as well, in all honesty. That is what I've done, and it is what I will continue to do for any time where we get ones where it's kits that make multiple different weapons from the same unit. And of course, if you wanted to, you can turn it into a good old breacher by adding them side plates onto over the kind of the track covers, and then the covers over the top as well, and a couple of extra bits and pieces as well, which make it the actual the breacher if you wanted it to. Your how to paint section, very similar, so do exactly how you have done with your previous two. You shouldn't have a problem with it, but you can get some really cool looking units out of it, and it should look pretty damn good. So of course, there will be a couple of extra little bits and pieces you will be able to add later on to these minis if you wish to. Entirely up to you though, so you will be able to kind of touch up little bits of paint, change little things to them, make them look really good and a lot more fun and interesting as well, depending on how you want to paint them. And then we have our battle plan. This is the biggest battle plan that we have had so far for the entirety of the run of the magazines to date. So with this, you will be using 2 battle mats. So you'll be using the mats from issue 4 and issue 18, put them side by side. You will be utilizing them quite heavily, and you have loads of units at your disposal. So for the forces of the Necrons, you have 1 Overlord, 10 Necron Warriors, 5 Immortals, 3 Scarab Swarms, 3 Scorpek Destroyers, and your Canoptek Spider. Going up against the good old Imperium forces of the Primaris Captain, a Tech Priest Dominus, Tech Priest Engine Seer, your 10 Skitari Rangers, 3 Cataphrone Destroyers, and the 3 good old Space Marine Aggressors. Really cool stuff. So the key idea of this is that defensive positions on the battle map must be taken in order to achieve victory. At the end of a defender's turn, so the defender was determined from last week's battle, so if the defender manages to control an objective, at the end of each round they will score 1 victory point. At the end of the attacker's turn, they score 1 victory point for controlling each objective marked 2 or 3, and 2 victory points for controlling the objective marked number 1. So if you're going from the attackers, you're going from left to right. Defenders have a shorter distance to number 1 to kind of defend, but it's all about getting them victory points in and kind of working towards winning, really. This will be the final good old battle that settles the war for Scyphos, and yeah, we'll move on from there as of next week, which will be really cool stuff, which is yeah, we've got a lot of good minis to look out for as well, so really cool. But yeah, good stuff there, so it's going to be all really fun. Talking of next week we get a good old Necron Chronomancer, a fantastic mini. It looks beautiful. I'm really looking forward to this. It feels like it's been a little while since we've had any Necrons, but yeah, really cool stuff. And then finally, issue 42, we start getting our Adeptus Sororitas. We get the Canoness mini, the Canoness, which you can only get in the Combat Patrol box, which is like a 90 quid box. In fact, majority of the minis that we are going to get with the magazine come from that box for the Adeptus Sororitas range. We just don't get the tank, which is a shame, but really cool stuff, and I'm looking forward to getting going with this lady as well. So really good stuff and happy days. But yeah, lots to look forward to over the next 40 issues, and yeah, should be good fun. Right, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye bye now.